Okay.
There we go. Okay, I was actually just thinking about this earlier today. You all have been obviously to a lot of great places to see fights and to work fights. What are the places that don't get mentioned very much that you had a great time working a fight? Like, what's a fight city people don't talk about very much that you would say is
Russia.
great?
I like Russia.
Well,
Abel?
I had a great time in Thailand, but not because of the fights. I just think I love the country. I've been there like 3 or 4 times.
Chocolate milk?
But to me, the Forum has always been a great place for a fight.
Yes. The forum was, the first time I ever went to the forum was in 1967 or 1968 when Ruben Olivares and Chucho Castillo fought there. And yeah, it was, back in the day. And I thought it was a great venue. And unfortunately, we don't have boxing there anymore. I wish we were back there again.
Yeah, no, I've been like Rudy. I've been all over the world, and to me, that's the acoustics in there, the crowd, just everything is so powerful.
Right.
How much do you think being in a fight town where people are real hardcore boxing fans makes a difference? Because in my experience, I'm not as well traveled as you all, and I've been to several places in LA. My favorite fight I ever went to is actually in a roller derby like arena in Toledo, Ohio, because the crowd was nuts and they were so into it, and like the energy was incredible. What's like? How much does that play into it for you?
Well, I
Right.
I don't. It just depends. I guess it depends where and the atmosphere.
Yeah. Yeah, this fight that I went to on Saturday night where Lester Martinez fought, there was 5,000, 6,000 people there, and 90% of it were Latin or Guatemalans, and it was noisy. It was exciting for them, and it was actually good to see the support for. And he's not a local fighter, but the support for a particular type of fighter that really you've never heard any. High end fighters coming out of Guatemala.
Yeah, I was gonna say, also like Cinco de Mayo and Mexican Independence Day, like those fight weekends and those fight cards always seem to have a different energy than like anything you see any other time of year. Like that always to me sets the bar, especially during like the Canelo run and everything that he did during that time. I mean, it was like there wasn't a lot to compare that to of like recent memory.
Hey, Rudy, I have a question for you on the same vein. What was the fight? What was the fight as a coach that, regardless of what size it was, that gave you the biggest goosebumps walking in?
Me, as a spectator
No, as a
or
coach, as a coach,
be
as a
a part of
coach,
it
as a
as a coach.
coach.
I think my brother fighting Asuma Nelson.
Where was it at?
That was at the in Texas. I believe it was in El Paso, Texas, and I don't know. I think that had to be like the most important fight. Well, at the time, it was the most important fight of our career, and fighting the professor.
Right.
Asuma Nelson, who had all the experience, and but I did believe that my brother could beat him. But still, it was going up against Asuma Nelson was. I think that was like the biggest fight I've ever been in
What
till
defense was
this
that
day.
for your brother? What defense was that for your brother?
No, my brother was fighting for the world title
For
against
the world title.
Asuma
Oh,
Nelson was the world champion.
world champion. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And here's the great part about that fight was that my brother could have won on a disqualification, but me, I couldn't let my brother win on the disqualification. I told him to get his ass up and finish painting the masterpiece that he was painting and that he was he was beating Asuma Nelson, you know, as a fighter should, and not on your back. And I told my brother, champions are made fighting, not on their backs. And the night before, Roy Jones Jr. had gotten disqualified. And so we were in that same boat that next day to win by a disqualification. And I was told by a few people in the corner and there at the arena that my brother could win already on a disqualification. And I'm like, and I looked at my brother and I go, no, Gennaro, champions are made fighting. Get your ass up and fight. Beat them like a true champion. Earn it. Don't let them give it to you. And my brother goes, well, your decision. Well, I say you get your ass up and fight. And so my brother goes, all right, well, we're going to fight. And I did I bought like almost 7 minutes. You know how you get like 5 minutes because, you get hit and there's a foul. So they give you 5 minutes. So I ended up getting about 7 minutes out of it. And then, in the next round, my brother comes out and I told him, just hold him, move. He gets close, throw a punch or two, hold him, and let the referee struggle to get you off of him. And that way you're buying time.
Right.
Well, he did that. And he went on to win a split decision. When they said a split decision, I'm like, man, I fucked up. That was the first thing that came to mind. Man, I fucked up. And but I think that it was a right decision, and that, remember my brother losing to Oscar De La Hoya, it gave my brother like a lot of negative talks and opinions about him and publicity. Everything was just negative because he didn't come off for the 9th round because Oscar broke his nose had been broken 2 weeks before the fight. Shane Mosley threw an overhand right and it landed right on the bridge of the nose and it broke his nose. And so he went in there with a broken nose. And so Oscar hit him with an uppercut, beautiful uppercut. It was quick. And it hit him right on the tip of the nose and it shattered it completely. And my brother was in a lot of pain. And remember, he said, I've always fought with broken hands and I continue. I go, this one, I just couldn't continue. He goes, the pain was just unbearable. Right. But, so he quit. And by him quitting, made him the quitter and, people, opinions and, the least guy you want to have in the corner is Rudy Hernandez because, he stops the fights too early. But it's okay.
Like the sign in my gym says, everybody's got something to say about lives they've never lived.
Yes, exactly. And it's crazy how we talk about, as we're getting older, we see things differently, right? And I don't think I've ever walked around or thought that maybe, what if I don't give a fuck what people say about me or what they think about me. I have a responsibility at the moment to live it and to do as best as I can to bring the fighter in or get him to win the fight. Because that's what's more important. There ain't no, well, maybe next time. Fuck that. They may never be a next time for him or me or her or me.
Yeah. You have to call it as you see it at that moment.
Exactly. And we're not everybody's cup of tea, huh, Abel?
We can't second guess ourselves because we can't go back.
No. Exactly.
Well, actually, I was going to say something else, but do you think, because as you talk about that, and you said the day before was when Montel Ice Griffin took the knee against Roy Jones Jr. How do you think that would have changed things for your brother if he stayed down? What would that have done to him, to his career, and to the trajectory of things after that?
I don't think my mind would have been any different. My whole thing was that it's an honorable thing. It's you have to do the right thing. The right thing is, maybe it's not the right for everybody else. And yes, you can milk it and you can, but I personally would not be able to sleep knowing I did the wrong thing.
Right, right.
I didn't earn
You
it.
know,
We have to earn it.
remember, Jess, when we make a decision, at least I think this is how Rudy feels too. When we make a decision, we have to go back to the dressing room back home and be able to look in the mirror and say, I did the decision what was in the best interest of me and my fighter at that particular moment. I'm not thinking about tomorrow. I'm not thinking about next year. I'm thinking about that particular moment because that's the only thing that matters. What ifs? There's a lot of what ifs.
Well, also, Abel. Well, and it's kind of hard to until you're there, and it's the moment. Like, let's say it would have been Terry Norris. Terry Norris gets hit after the bell, and you can win the belt there. Do you take the belt there, or do you tell him, get up and knock this guy out, man? Earn it. Get that. Be that champion.
Well, no, and also what I'm saying though is it's that particular moment. If I've got a kid that I know is can destroy the other guy, just got a kid late, then obviously I'm going to try to get him to continue. But say particular, Orlin Norris fought Mike Tyson and got hit after the bell. He went down. I was not going to let him to continue against Mike Tyson. If it had been
Yeah.
somebody else, maybe I would have allowed it and thought I could get him back. But it all depends on the situation.
My stupid ass didn't do that. I just thought I just did the right thing at the right moment and at the right time. And who would have ever thought that just doing the right fucking thing would bring my brother's name back up in, up in the boxing world, and he get the recognition, and also he get the respect.
Also, what round was that in? One, and how was your brother doing up until that point? All those things would have to factor, in my opinion, would have to factor in on what decision I make. The particular fight that I said about Orlin Norris and Mike Tyson, that happened after the first round, right? Immediately after the first round, it was right after the bell. So at that moment, you're talking, my guy's fighting a killer. My guy's only got a minute or minute 90 seconds to recover. Am I going to allow that to continue? I had to make a decision at that point. But yeah, it all depends on the circumstances. But again, until you're in that position, until you're in that situation, uh, you don't know. But you
Yeah.
can't second guess yourself. You made the decision, just like you said, Rudy just said. When they said split decision, I said, oh, did I do the
Yeah.
wrong thing? But you know what? You made the decision. That's it. It is what it is.
Yes.
Well, I was going to say, because I know Montel Ice Griffin, and the reason I asked the question is because I don't think he's ever said it overtly outright, but like that decision to, or maybe it wasn't a decision, maybe it's just the inability to get up. The fact that he didn't get up has haunted him up until this day. Up until this day, it still haunts him.
I don't see why it's haunted him. It made him money.
It's I think it's a fighter's ego thing. He said
Yeah. He
to this
made
day.
he made fucking money. He knew his ass could have got up and fucking did it, but he didn't. He made that fucking choice. Now he has to fucking live with it. Or next time you see his ass, ask him, "Where's the whipped cream?" Go back and get whipped cream. They ask next time
That's
you see him.
fattening, man. That's fattening.
Well,
That's fattening.
wait. Next time you see him, go and ask him, "Hey, does your conscience feel so bad that you fucking made money? And did you return it? Or did you donate it because you felt like you really didn't earn it?"
Well, his so just to be clear, his stance on it was that he couldn't get up. That's the stance that he still has.
Then he has nothing to feel guilty about. If he couldn't
Yeah,
get up, he
then he
couldn't
should
get
be
up.
okay. But
Yeah.
if he's feeling guilty, it's because his conscience is fucking telling him, man, you know damn well you could have got up.
I think
Fucking liar.
it might be validation too. If you're happy with your decisions and everything that you did, then it doesn't really matter. But if you're looking for validation, especially in a sport like boxing, which I believe that's exactly what he's always doing, he's never going to get that validation because boxing fans are fickle. They will never give you the appreciation, and if you keep listening, you're never going to hear what you want to hear. And I think that's a big part of it too. He had a good career. He had a very good career, but yeah, I don't know. I asked myself that a few times.
He
Every
got
time
3 fights out of it, didn't he?
No, he got a second fight, and I think he got stopped pretty quickly.
Fourth.
Okay.
Yeah, although he was having a good fight in the first fight, it was actually going pretty well. But ultimately, I don't know. Maybe I'm being pessimistic, but I think after he got dropped, even if he didn't get hit a second time, that fight probably would have been over. I just don't see him coming back and coming on against Roy Jones Jr.
Time Roy was prime.
Yes. Yeah. Roy was a badass.
Roy was unstoppable. Yeah. Now here's talking about stopping fights and you know when Rudy stops the fights too quickly, right? Um, how much do you feel it's the trainer's responsibility to save like some dignity for a fighter? If a fighter's ready to call it, like if a fighter tells you like, "Hey, Abel, I'm done. That's it." You want to be the one to throw in the towel, right? You don't ever want to put it on the fighter.
No, the fighter is never. I would say never. I've never heard this, but I would say the fighter is never going to say that. You have to be able to read your guy. You have to be able to read not only the moment, but what's going to happen in the next 3 or 4 rounds, what you see directly in front of you, what the mannerisms are. If you're in the gym with them at all, you can understand. And sometimes, hey, listen, they're not all gonna always gonna have a great day. There's gonna be bad days. We all have them. And I think that you have to be. I haven't stopped too many fights, but I've stopped some fights because I felt that one, we weren't in a position that we were going to win. Two, Miguel Gonzalez against Costa Zoo. What we did in the gym to get ready for that fight was detrimental to for him in the fight. It just lost too much weight all at once. So there's moments where you have to make a decision based on not necessarily what's right in front of you, but what happened before. And tomorrow's, you have to be the one that makes the call. The fighter should not be the one that says, I can't go no more, in my opinion.
Believe that if a fighter has a puncher's chance, I will sacrifice his ass until the end of until he can no longer fucking continue. But if I feel like he doesn't have no chance at all, then I'll be the one that pulls him. I'll pull him out. I've done that a couple of times in fights where like guy didn't like my brother fighting Floyd. There's no fucking way he's winning this fucking fight, and there was no reason to keep sacrificing him for what and for what purpose. You're not gonna fucking win. We'll pull it out, and maybe you'll live the fight again tomorrow.
Yeah.
Fortunately, that didn't happen. He would retire after that fight.
And let them be mad at you. Let them be mad at you. They'll be mad at you for a little while, but you know what? They
Yeah,
get over it.
Well,
yeah. I don't care about them. I don't care about their opinion.
the
Right.
re-
When you
the
want their
reason
opinion, you give it to them, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
what did my
The only
mom used
voice
to
that
say?
matters is mine.
My mom
Right.
used to say, if I wanted to hear your opinion, I'd beat it out of you.
That's why they call us the chief second in the corner. We make the
And I always
decisions.
say, hey, if I want your opinion, I'll ask you.
You know, so the reason I brought that up, though, I'm sure you all remember, and you were talking about, Mike Tyson with Orland Norris. Do you all remember Galata versus Mike Tyson? And how humiliating of a moment it was for him to have to quit and then his corner, argue with him on live television in front of everybody. It was just so much shame that he had to go through when they could have just made the call there. And I think if they maybe knew the fighter a little bit better, they would have known it was time to call it. They didn't. And it
Just,
just humiliated the guy.
just even if they did know the fighter, look at the right hand. Go back and look at the tape and look at the right hand that he got caught with. Oh my God. From Mike Tyson. Look at the right hand that he got caught with, the one that when he went down. Uh, it was it was a devastating punch. I mean, at that point, your senses are. He was hurt, and for Lou to be insisting on him continuing, uh, Lou didn't take the shot, man.
I totally agree. I just thought that was a moment where, as a trainer, you should you got to take that off your fighter. You can't put him in a position to humiliate himself. I don't know if you all saw Fondura versus Tim Zhu. The first fight was a really, really awesome fight. They just had a really good back and forth, but Tim had a really bad cut. And then by the second fight, it was really weird. It was like Tim seemed to be right in it in the first fight, and then in the second fight he was in it until he wasn't, and then all of a sudden he stopped and he quit. He quit in the fight, and I respected the fact that he, instead of making a number of excuses, he comes back and he goes, you know what? He goes, he was unbeatable. There was nothing I could do. I had to stop fighting him. How much do you appreciate hearing a fighter just like say it straight up like that? Because I don't think I've ever heard a fighter just say it like that and give a guy his just dues when he can't take anymore.
Well, okay. My opinion is this about fighters. Okay, when remember that last fighter that fought in the East Coast that ended up brain damage.
Talking about
Trying to remember his name. My memory is not as good as it used to be. But he was the last fighter that almost lost his life. He's not. He didn't die. He didn't pass away. He was the one that kept getting hit in the back of the head. And
oh no,
Pritchard
that was a Puerto Rican kid.
yeah,
Pritchard
that
Cologne, right?
yeah, that fight.
Cologne, yeah.
Okay, on that fight, I'm watching and I'm like, well, stop fucking bitching, you fucking dumbass. Well, hit his ass back instead of bitching and shit, you know. And then remember that Argentinian that fought at the Forum that had his orbital eye fractured in that fight. And Lucas Matisse. No, wasn't it Lucas Matisse?
Look at the teeth, yeah.
Against Victor
Yeah.
Postol.
So those two fights helped me change the way that I saw things. That not everybody is capable of taking certain beatings. There's a limit to what they can take, and not everybody can be Arturo Gatti or Armando Muñiz's. And so, when once a human being comes out in them, then yeah, move on.
Yeah. Well, to kind of answer your question about Zoo, I think that I don't like for a fighter to be the one that says that. I want the fighter to say, "Well, I respect my coach, I respect my corner, and I respect what their decision they made." That's why I said to you at the beginning when you asked about that question, is that the coach has to know his
Has to
fighter.
know his
A
fighter.
coach has to
A
know
coach
what he
has to know
sees.
what
A
he
coach
sees.
has to
A coach has
read
to
his
read
fighter,
his fighter.
and
And
they're going to tell
they're
you
going to tell you
just
Wait,
by their
just
actions
by
and
their actions
emotions.
and emotions.
wait, are you getting
Wait, are
feedback
you
right
getting
now?
feedback right now?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, what was that
it's
again?
about
It's
a
about
second delay.
a second.
We lost
Can
Rudy.
you hear
We
me?
lost Rudy.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Am I here or no?
Okay, we don't see you
Okay,
though.
we don't see you though.
Yeah, we don't see your
Yeah, we don't
face though.
see your face.
There. How about now?
Nope.
Nope.
Wait, I see
Unless
Rudy.
you got,
Wait, I see
unless you
Rudy.
got a tan.
Unless you got a tan.
Okay. How about now? Can you see me? I
Nope.
can see you guys.
Nope.
Yeah, no,
I
it's all
see.
black.
No, it's all black.
No, I see.
Let me.
No,
I see Rudy, but I'm
I
getting
see
feedback.
Rudy, but I'm getting feedback.
How about now, Abel?
I don't see you.
I
No,
don't
but
see you.
you're
No,
right.
but you're right.
JC, we're getting feedback.
Okay.
Getting feedback.
Let me see.
You want to hang up
You
and
want to
start
hang
again?
up and start again?
Okay, let me go ahead and hang on. Okay, leave still.
Oh, that
There
got
you go.
crazy.
Yeah, that was him.
Yeah, something changed because the sound was perfect up until right then, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden,
you're still recording, right?
yeah, we're still going.
Yeah. No, what I was saying is that this is what I was saying about you have to know your fighter. You have to be able to read because he's telling you something in the corner, confidence wise, how he feels. So when you're looking at him, that's why it's so important to have a great relationship with your fighter. So that way, um, he's allowing you to look inside his soul and be able to make that decision for both of you. He's depending on you for that.
Would you say it's sort of like a code that the fighter has, where they're gonna say it to you without saying it, or is it just you being able to read them so well?
No, you have to
know?
read them. You have to read them because just what Rudy said, then they're labeled a quitter. People don't know what's going on, and people don't know. Just like this young lady that just got hurt the other day at San Bernardino.
Yeah,
You just
I saw
don't.
that.
There's things that happen, but this happened. This was a culmination of something before that. It wasn't something that happened necessarily in that particular fight. It was a culmination of something that happened prior to that. It may have started prior to that, I should say. So when you're in a corner and it's a tough fight, and you're looking in your fighter's face, and you can see that. But you'll see it in sparring too. When you spar, it depends how you spar him. You spar him hard, and you see those moments where, This is where he's trying to tell me something. So then you know how to continue sparring, how to continue who you bring in to spar with him. So yeah, I've had those opportunities where I'm looking at somebody's face and said, "It's time." And then there's those moments where no, this guy just raring to go. Even if getting the shit kicked out of him, he's just raring to go because that's just who they are.
Does that make it hard to make a decision if you have if you have a guy like a Mickey Ward in there? He's never gonna call it, but he could be, or like Arturo Gatti's an even better example because against Floyd, he was really getting tuned up. Like Floyd was just had his number. Is it harder with a guy like that? Because I don't think he's ever going to give you that indicator that it's time to call it, right?
And no, it's not harder, but it you just have to pay attention. There you go. Now I see you.
All right, guys, I'm back. Anyway, so what did I miss?
Did you
We were
say
just
anyway?
we were just talking about how you stop fights when you have to stop a fight, and what your keys are in stopping a fight.
Okay, once I see that, first of all, my guy doesn't have a punching power, and I'm not going to sacrifice him more when I feel like he's not going to win. He can't win. And when I say he can't win, the other guy just better than him, and no reason to sacrifice him. I'll pull him out.
Right.
Of course, I'm going to give him a chance, and I am going to talk to him and let him know that the fight's about to get stopped if you don't do anything different, make a change in this next round, then I'm going to pull you out. The one time that I never wanted to be in a corner where I didn't believe that we could win a fight. I always consider myself a winner. Winning means everything to me. But there was this one time, remember Pumita Molina? This guy named Pumita Molina, he was one of those guys that always showed up at the gym, and he was pretty much had like a record of like, let's say like 2 wins, 12 or 13 losses. But he was awkward, but he was down to fight. And so one day he asked me if I could work his corner, and then I looked at him. I'm like, "What? Work your fucking corner, man? Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, look who you are. What the fuck, man? I train champions, man, contenders, badasses. I thought that would be like beneath me, right? And then I left, and I got I don't know, like maybe within the 20 minutes of thinking about it, I'm like, why the hell am I in boxing? I'm in boxing to try to help, not just be champion. Sometimes helping is being able to save somebody from getting injured or hurt. So I called him up and I told him, okay, I'm going to be in your corner. And the first thing I did when we get to the arena, we go into our to the locker room. We get into our room. We're there, and then I go out to go look for the referee of the fight. And I told him that the reason I wasn't here with Pumita was because I'm trying to save him from himself or from him getting beat up. So, and I told the referee, the moment you see him get hurt, don't think about it. Stop the fight. Pull the plug. And that would be his last fight too. So, and the referee goes, yeah, Rudy. I go, well, I'm here not because I think he can win. I'm here because I'm trying to save him from himself. He's too brave for his own good sometimes. And, I would rather, I'm here to protect him, that where he can go home and live the rest of his life outside of the boxing. So, like in the round 2, he got hit a couple of times, and the referee stepped in and stopped the fight, and that was it. The referee did a great job. He did stop it correctly when he needed to.
Yeah. And also, like, when, the thing about boxing, and I think Abel and I were just talking about this before we went on, is, like, it's not worth becoming the way that, like, Bobby Chacon became after boxing. Like, that was such a sad thing to see. Like, is it worth it to take another round of a beating?
Wait a minute. Let me my opinion on that is okay. First of all, let's let's look at the overall picture. Don't blame just boxing, but also what kind of life was he living outside of boxing? Did he not do alcohol, drugs, and all kinds of other stuff?
He
Of
did.
course.
So then you can't just directly just blame boxing for it because that's not fair. You know, you got other fighters who really got beat up and banged up and everything like that, but they didn't drink or smoke or do drugs. Like I'll use Armando Muñiz. He was a guy that he fought you every single round, and the guy was just uh he was all heart. He fought with all his heart, man, and he fought to win regardless, you know, and that was a bad dude, man. I like Armando Muñiz. I thought that he was one of the baddest fucking fighters of our era, of that era where he was fighting, and he may not have been the most talented man, but shit, but he was a guy that was willing to fucking you know fight to the last minute, last second.
And just to reiterate what he's saying, that Armando Muñiz ended up being a school teacher at a Rubidoux High School where my daughter attended. So
Oh
he
wow.
didn't lose his marbles. He didn't lose, he because of his lifestyle, he was able to continue to live a fruitful life. I don't know if he still lives, but he did. He was a high school teacher where my daughter went to school.
Nice.
But I would still say so you could say that about Bobby, but there are other fighters too who became there are other fighters too who became like incoherent after their career, and it was almost definitely, and it's hard to say who's going to end up like that or not. All guys are different; they take it differently as they develop, but like it's not worth.
But again, Jess, you gotta take in account the type of people that they are outside the ring.
Lifestyle.
Yeah, the
And
lifestyle that they have.
and I'm not saying lifestyle is drugs and all that. I'm saying they're fighting every 6 7 months and they're losing 40 50 pounds to get down to a certain weight. It's their lifestyle. It's how they live in any sport. In
Stop
let's just say
talking
golf,
about me, Abel.
huh?
Stop talking about me, Abel.
let, let's just say in golf, back before when Tiger Woods first turned pro, all the guys were out there. They have pot bellies and have big cigars, and all of a sudden Tiger Woods comes into the fray. Everybody's in shape after he comes in and starts beating everybody. Football, baseball, and basketball seasons, if guys are not training 365 days a year, they're not playing. Different. It's a lifestyle it's 365 days a year, or else
That is
you're
true.
gonna get hurt, man.
That is true. What about the fighters who like just blow up after they retire? There's a lot of examples of that. Like Prince Nazim is a guy who obviously great, very very good fighter, very good shape his whole career, and then all of a sudden like he just got huge. Like how does that or Ricky, God rest his soul, Ricky Hatton was another example of a guy. Like how does that transition happen after these guys are like the most disciplined creatures on earth?
And how come you look at Rudy when you say things like that?
Well, I'll tell you. Here's what it comes down to. When you when you've been on a diet since you're 11 years old, you've dieted your whole life. What I mean, like, come on, man. What do you think? You you know, like, fuck, you can't eat enough, and it's also like a you're almost like a junkie when it comes to it. When you retire, and then you gotta you want to eat anything and everything. Man, I was having two breakfasts, two lunches, and two dinners, and snacks in between. And how do you think I gained over 125 pounds?
What about between fights? Like after you had a win, would you go out and
Well,
just like
I was like 25 to 30 pounds overweight. But the thing is that now my brother, on the other hand, that fucking skinny little fucker, man, never gained weight. But he was built different, and that's just the way it is. Look at my other brothers, man. You see how big my other brothers are? Those guys were like
Yeah.
in the 400 pounds.
oh they're big dudes
Yes. No, fat dudes. They weren't big dudes, they were fat.
trying to be polite?
While
Jeez,
while
come
Victor
on,
was a
Rudy.
big Yeah, Victor had he lifted weights and was a pretty strong guy. It's a pretty strong guy.
Now, but there isn't a part of you. I mean, like when you're training, obviously there's a lot of pain and suffering that goes into training. But doesn't it feel good to be in shape when you're a fighter? Like, isn't that something that you'd want to hold on to after retirement?
I think I was in round shape, so I didn't really care.
It is the shape now.
Yeah. So we were.
I think that uh, the perspective the perspective of a fighter with while he's doing it and even after he retires is something that unless you did it, you're never going to understand. You can argue about it, you can think that you know about something about it, but to starve, because that's what they do, to starve and then still have to lose weight and still have to get in a sauna and still have to not have any water. All that, you can't understand that unless you've done it. Unless you've done it, there's no way you have a clue what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I personally gave up pretty much gave up my career when I lost. See, and I didn't like my manager for a number of years. I blamed him, which was his fault because he was supposed to protect me and look out for me. But I was supposed to be responsible enough to be ready to fight because that was my job. I didn't know that back then. But today, I tell these kids, it's your responsibility to be a fighter 24/7. As long as you're a professional fighter, you're supposed to be ready at all times. Stay your ass in the gym, stay within weight, and be ready because you never know when you're going to get that phone call. And my guys stay ready. And like I said,
How,
look, I sacrificed La Princesa o La Squaga, and he only had 5 fights when I sent him to go fight for the world title. Shit, he got knocked out in 9 rounds, but everybody was there and everybody liked him, and he got ranked in the top 5 in the world from that fight when he wasn't even a thought.
How
How
many?
how does it?
Yeah, how many fighters can you name? I know three or four of them. Can you name that got a call 2 weeks before the a title fight that somebody falls out and go on and win and go on and win a title? So you have to be in the gym. You have to be ready. You have to think that you're gonna get that call. But again, like Rudy said, that's your job. But I tell my guys, from Gennady back to Terry, I says, you are given the opportunity to live out your dreams. To live out your, how many guys wish they could be in your position. So all these responsibilities that you're being given, they're for you. They're not for us. They're for you. So give yourself the best opportunity to be successful.
Yes,
what does it mean for a fighter to stay in, obviously I understand like the literal meaning. They have to stay in shape, they have to be working all year round, but obviously training in a training camp versus training when you have no fights coming up, it's going to be a different level of training, right? What are the differences between a fighter staying in shape and is between fights and a fighter in training camp?
Well, for me, it's not so much staying in shape. Staying in shape is it's a very, very vague thing. For me, it's staying on weight. I can get you in shape if I'm not running a fat farm. If I can keep you within a weight limit, I check my fighters' weight every morning before they run. Every morning I check their weight every morning, and I don't want them. And the reason I do that is for them. I don't want them to be. I want them to be around the same and little by little lose. But being in shape is one thing for me, but being close to the weight is even more important to me.
well, yes, weight is important, and they have to be within a certain amount of weight because you got to be ready. Like I say, you got 2 weeks notice. Your ass better be ready. This is your job. You and then something I tell fighters, I go, you only have like a window of, let's say, if you're that lucky, let's say you got 15 years of this professional career. If you're that lucky guy to be able to go 15 years, which it's rare. Not everybody can do that. But let's say you do have it. You're going to do 15 years. That's the equivalent of a 40 to 45 year normal person working at a regular job. You got to do everything within 15 years in boxing. And so you, like I said, you have a short window of time to to be a successful person or not. And if you can't be that guy, well, then there's no reason for you to be fighting if you're not going to be in the fighting, worldwide and being a contender.
How
Rudy,
much
you
does it
give.
change training camp if a guy comes in and he's
Well, first of all, you stay in shape. And when I say you stay in shape, you're staying, okay, like right now, like today, Junto did 14 rounds of sparring, but not 14 rounds of fighting, just moving. Tony came in last week. He fought on Sunday, and on Friday he sparred 6 rounds at the gym. But he didn't. But he didn't take no punishment, no nothing. Just moving and kind of like, okay, like kind of like shadow boxing, where you're moving and you're blocking punches and stuff, but you just stay sharp. Not we're not there to get beat up, but we just want to stay sharp.
now if a fighter comes in though and say he's out of shape and he's overweight and you are running a fat farm, how much does that change the training camp? Like how do you have to change it at that point to compensate for him losing the weight that he needs to?
It all depends on how far you
Abel,
are away from your date. It all depends on if you're 6 weeks away or 5 weeks away and he's 25 pounds over. Well, then yes, obviously you're changing your methods. But if you're 3 or 4 months away, you still got time. You still got a little bit of time to little by little lose the weight and get to the point where you can start working, actually working. Because guys come in when they're that heavy. Guys come in and you'll see if you go to the gyms, you'll see guys wearing plastics, albaline, plastics on top, plastics on the bottom, and they're trying to sweat this fat off and not eating. So it all depends how far you are away from the date. For me, anyway, that determines a lot on what we do and how we structure the remaining time that you have.
you know, one of the things that I learned from the older, like the older fighters at one time from Mexico, is that let's say you're gonna fight in 2 months and you're gonna start training, right? So when you start your training, the week that weekend when you first before you even start your training, that weekend on Sunday, you take laxatives and you clean out your body. You clean out your system, and then now you're starting fresh because you got 2 months to get ready for a fight. So that was one thing that I learned a long time ago from these guys from Mexico, and I thought that was a good idea. Like getting an oil change. But you're changing your body, and now you're putting nothing but good healthy food in your body, so that so you're to fuel you, so you can work out.
That's not a bad idea. That's a good point too, because you're going to be holding a lot of stuff. If you were, eating a lot of stuff and gorging yourself that you shouldn't have, it's going to stick in your system. Like you'd probably have to cleanse that out
Yes.
to have a fresher start. We were talking about this earlier about until you've walked in those shoes, you're not going to understand what it's like to be a fighter. And like some of the examples are Gennaro getting his nose shattered after it was already broken, which like after when I did boxing and sparring, I can say getting hit hurt enough to break your nose and have it shattered. I can't imagine, or like the orbital bone. I can't even imagine the pain of that. So all that to be said, what's one thing that you all don't feel fans totally understand about boxing from the outside?
The
The
sacrifice and the
sacrifices that you
loneliness.
make as a human being was, yeah. Turn that shit off.
Loneliness and the loneliness of the sport. Really, you're by yourself. Yes, you have your coach. Yes, you have your manager. Yes, you have your friends. Yes, you have your family, but you're by yourself, man. You're by yourself.
That's something you all probably notice when a guy's in training camp and he misses his family or he feels alone. I remember talking to Robert Garcia, and that was one of the toughest things for him was training camp because he never got to see his family, and he'd start to get like depressed because he'd go for months without seeing his family. Have you all had experience with that where you have to talk the fighter through those moments?
No, we were real men.
No,
Abel,
he's Rudy's got
there's a big
Rudy's got
difference between our age groups and stuff, because real fucking men, a man up, and this is what they did, and different generations, yeah, every 3, 4, 5 years, there's a big difference, and the gap it just changes. Abel is older than me, and Abel would understand even this more than I do.
But you all
you know
just said it that fighters are lonely. People don't
yeah,
understand that. It's a real
yes,
thing,
but
no?
I think that you have to make your programs interesting enough so that they are learning every day, maybe just a little bit, but they're learning something every day, and you're keeping it fresh for them. It's a monotonous sport. It's a monotonous sport. You do the same things over and over and over again for 15, 20 years that you're in a sport. So imagine how many times
Abel,
your shoulders. Say that again. Go ahead.
Abel, yeah, yeah, Abel, was Terry Norris like, oh, I miss my family. I don't want to be in
No,
camp.
no, none of my guys have ever, because again, I think you have to keep it. You have to keep it interesting, in my opinion. Anyway, you have to keep it interesting. I try to put a wrinkle in every training camp. I try to add something different in every training camp. But not everybody's the same. But remember, these guys, how monotonous this job is. How monotonous it is that from the first time you laced up the gloves until you finish, you're throwing the same punches day in and day out. How many times has your shoulder socket done the same jab, done the same right hand, done the same uppercut or hook? Your elbows. Can you imagine the running that you do? So it's a very lonely sport. You have to kind of motivate yourself to be able to continue and to be able to survive.
Uh-huh.
Wait, does someone have a birthday?
Whose birthday?
Oh, oh yes, that was on Saturday. It was our grandson's birthday. He's a year old now.
Oh, congrats.
You don't
Yeah,
look
Well,
old
for
enough to have
him,
a
I guess.
they,
grandson.
Yeah. Happy birthday to him.
yeah. We wanted to beat him up, but they wouldn't let me.
Yeah, 'cause he's one. He's 1 year old.
Yeah, he's 1 year old. Yeah, but he's a little boy, so we wanna. I want to make sure that he understands that as a little boy, that one day will be a man. He's gonna get his ass kicked often, and that's just life. It happens to all the male in the world.
What do you all think about? It's funny you say that because I was just listening to something or reading something recently. With Mike Tyson, they always said, "Oh, if you bully the bully, if you go up to the bully and you bully him, you psych him out at his own game, and you physically can bully him, he'll break. Like bullies will break." Is that a real thing, or is it just you got to be a better fighter than a bully?
Of course, you got to be a better fighter than a bully, or else he's still gonna kick your ass.
Yeah, I mean, but how many times have you heard that in life where they're like, the bully, the one thing that'll stop a bully is if you go up and you fight back against him, and it's like bullshit. If a guy's bigger and tougher and he's like, it doesn't matter if he's a bully or not, he's gonna kick your ass.
Not
Yeah, but
skills.
see
I mean,
how we grew up was like, yeah, we okay. We learned in the ghetto here in South Central that if this guy's gonna be bully you, then okay, we have to stand up. And even if we got to get a stick and hit him upside the head with a goddamn stick, then you got to do it because or else you're not gonna get respect. He'll continue to bully you and take. So you gotta do something right off the back.
What do you say, Abel? You get a
I
stick
say
and beat
that.
the crap out of the bully?
No, I think that you have to stand up for yourself and listen. You may get your ass kicked again, but at least that guy's going to get some of mine too, and he's going to understand that it's not just going to be a pushover. But as far as as Mike Tyson that you said, I think that you have to be have enough skills to be able to control whatever the hell the bully is. The bully is intimidating, but the intimidating doesn't mean that he's a better fighter than you, or is better prepared than you, or has the abilities that you do. So, but in the streets, yeah, you go up and when he's not looking, you hit him with a stick, or you hit him with a bat, or you cold cock him, or whatever it takes to understand that I'm going to stand up for myself. Yeah, I may
Yes.
get my ass kicked, but I'm going to stand up for myself.
Yes.
The only thing I'll say to that though, and the one thing I don't like is I feel like that culture has, you see it in Chicago a lot, where one guy can kick another guy's ass. The guy gets his ass kicked, and he comes back with what? A gun,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
it's
Well,
very common, and suddenly it
yes.
goes from two guys fighting to like.
I believe that unfortunately in today's time, and not only today's, but even 10, 15 years, it has been that where when we were growing up is you do this. I mean, and you may win today and lose tomorrow, and then win 3 or 4 in a row, but you have to stand up for yourself. I think, but with your fist.
Rudy?
Okay. I believe this, that if let's say if I'm in a fight, if I hit somebody and if I hit him and the guy quits, I stop hitting him. And because that's respect. You don't abuse, because you never know when somebody's going to come back and haunt you. But if you hit somebody, and you don't take advantage of them, he'll walk away and say, "The hell with it." He'll be okay with it.
Don't be the bully.
So you think it's respecting that boundary of not abusing? Yeah, I would totally agree. I would totally agree, and I think that's part of it too. Is like there's not really like a code of conduct or like a code of ethics to fighting, And I think when I was younger, we understood it as such. If you got in a fight and then one guy had enough, eventually it's okay. That's over. It's not like you wouldn't do it like UFC style and get on top of a guy and start pounding him. You know what I mean? Or kick him while he's down. You'd understand if he's down. That's where it's either he's done or you wait and see like, are we going to do this or not? But you wouldn't like exploit him when he's very vulnerable.
Yep. Yep. Then also Jesse, you get those guys, the bullies are really not really fighters. You should be afraid of the guy that just likes to fight, even if he gets his ass kicked, but just loves to fight. And the bully really, once he gets hit a little bit, then it's like, oh, you hurt my nose, and goes away. It's the guy that just loves to fight. I'm gonna get my ass kicked, but you know what? I'm in it. This is fun.
Yeah.
Do you all believe that there is mental intimidation in boxing? That like they say like, oh, at the weigh-in a fight can be won or lost. Is that total baloney, or have you seen it happen?
I don't believe in that.
Well, I don't know. I was scared of everybody in every single fucking fight that I had. I was scared of my opponent. But
You
it made
made
me sharp enough to get away from goddamn punches, and then I gained a little bit of confidence after round one, after round two. But I think once the bell rang, I didn't. The fear was well, I still kind of feared, because it made me stay sharp. It's when you go in there not fearing, is when
Right.
sometimes it's not a
Right.
good thing. It's
When you
not
get
good to go in too brave.
when you get too cocky. In fact, just this last weekend, Ammo Williams talked about how he was going to kick this guy's ass, was going to destroy him, and then what happened to him? Sometimes your alligator mouth overloads the pigeon ass. You know, uh, there's always going to be that fear. There's always going to be that uh, the unknown, and that's a good thing.
Let's. I'm gonna try one more thing that we talked about before. We'll try to do it really constructively. Let's do it like this. Zuffa boxing was something that we've spent a lot of time talking about. So I want to do this again, but do it slightly differently. Okay. Between the three of us, put our heads together, what would we say are the three best things, best possible outcomes that can come from Zuffa boxing? The three best things for boxing as a sport overall. I'll say from a fan's perspective. Because, I'm thinking about the boxing fans. What are the three best things that can come from Zuffa boxing?
One would be the talent of the fighters that compete, and also we'll see how good they really are. That's that would be one.
Yeah, competition.
Wait, why do you? I don't understand that totally. What do you mean by?
Well, you know how you have all these guys with these records of like 8 wins, 20 wins, and they haven't really fought competition. When I say competition, that means somebody who's competitive, and so you're gonna like I believe that Zufa is the reminder of what the Olympic Auditorium used to be like back in the in the 70s, and where boxing was competitive, and there wasn't a whole lot of people with undefeated records, back in those days. There were people lost in the 4 rounders, 6 rounders, 8 rounders, and and how, but they were in competitive fights, and so I believe that if you're a very competitive person against another very competitive person, because you know then we know how good you really are. But even in what I like about one of the things about Dana White is that if you put up a fight and you lose, you don't get punished. Sometimes you even get reward. Sometimes you even get a bonus because you put up such a good fight that you we're not gonna punish you because you lost. We're gonna put you in again, and they'll put you in again.
And now I'll give. So that's a good pro, and that's 100%. That's a great point. There's clearly going to be competitive matchmaking, so you're not necessarily going to watch a fight and go, "Ah, man, this is a lopsided snooze fest," right? Like you're always going to have guys who are matched pretty evenly. I'll give a con to that though, which I think is a clear one. Um, how do you develop fighters then? How do you develop fighters if they're always if say they start off with the Zuffa boxing? Is there gonna be a runway for them to grow? Like a good manager can take a good fighter and make them even better by building them up accordingly. Will we be
Yeah,
losing out on that?
building them up where?
Anywhere, as long as you're matching them up
Where?
correctly.
Wait. Anywhere? We don't have the Forum, the Olympic Auditorium, Vegas. We don't have all these fighting promoters like we did at one time. We don't have that anymore. It seems like we're limited to where we can go.
But you don't think that a fighter would probably need that? Like, especially if they're not, if they have a deep Olympic pedigree, so be it. But like,
I have one for you who was not too long ago. He was that guy. Um, Orlando Salido. Orlando Salido got put up against really tough competition when he first came out to the United States. He fought, I think, La Cobrita Gonzalez. He lost a decision, and then he lost another fight was another decision, and the competition that he had here in the states got him to where he went on to be the world champion. He's the guy that beat fuck. Who did he win?
Lomachenko.
Who did he beat? Abel
He beat Lomachenko in Lomachenko's
Lomachenko.
second fight. Yeah, in the second fight, I was there. But
Yes.
listen, the question that I have about this, about that question that you just asked, Jesse, is: are we ever going to have pro debuters on Sufa?
that's a great, yeah, and that would probably answer a lot of what I'm asking right there too, or what the way I'm seeing it. And by the way, I could be totally wrong. I have no idea what the way they're going to do it. So I'm just thinking from the way I see it, But that's a great question. Like, will people debut directly to Zuffa?
Well, I think that being the promoter that he is, you'll know. Well, as a boxing fan, don't you want to go to a fight show and watch competitive fights?
Yeah, more than anything. Yeah, and I want to watch them on TV competitive too. I wouldn't want to waste my
Well,
evening.
Well, that's
much
what you're
more
going to
fight.
get. Well, when you go to Zuffa, that's what you're going to get. It's up to them to perform.
What's the answer to my question though?
I'm sorry, what was your question?
Will there ever be any pro debuts on Zuffa shows?
Oh, well, I believe they will, and the reason I do believe that they will is because someone like let's say okay, like Robert Garcia was at the last Zuffa event. So Robert had the guy fighting. Let's say he was the main event, right? So he can ask, I got this other kid that I want to pro debut him here, um, and I mean I don't see why not.
How will we
They'll
know
put
how
him in.
competitive that?
Well,
How will we know how competitive that pro debut is unless we are scouting the fighters and making sure that they know how to fight? Two pro debuters, or yeah,
Well, you know how word of mouth goes.
yeah.
so you're saying predicated on the fighter's reputation and what people have said about him? I don't know.
And who's handling? Also,
I'm
who's handling?
I'm 50-50 on it. I think here's how I'm kind of seeing it right now is I think if a fighter is brought along well, his fights should be competitive even in maybe not his pro debut, maybe not his second, but by his third fight, his fight should be competitive for the level that he's at. They shouldn't be walkover knockouts each time. Like I think he should get challenged enough that he can keep growing. Otherwise, you get what Rudy's talking about, which is someone with, a 15-0 record fighting very little resistance. Like that doesn't help a fighter grow. You do have to go in somewhat tough. But I don't know. It's like, do you throw a guy straight to the wolves by his like second or third fight? Where I don't know, like how much are we saying when we say like an even fight for a guy? If he's only had 3 or 4 fights, he still has to develop. He still has to get to that level.
Okay, I believe that a person that is like 21 and under, yeah, we're gonna kind of develop him, but 21 and over, no,
Are you talking
I
about
don't
age?
believe
Are
in
you
this.
talking
Okay,
about age?
he's
Are,
no,
are you talking about
yeah,
age
we're talking about
or
age,
fights?
age, age,
So if you
at
get
the
so if you
age.
get an 18 so if you get an 18-year-old, are you going to protect him? Are you going to develop him? Are you going to allow him to grow? He's
I'm
not
trying,
21
like I
yet.
said, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, if he's not 21 yet, 21 and under, okay, let's we're developing him because he's 21 and under. He's still young. He's still a young buck. But if you're after 21, if you ain't ready now, then I mean, what are the possibilities that you'll be ready when?
So if you're a pro debuter, I'm looking at this as a coach from the outside. If you're a pro debuter, by the time you have 5 fights or by the time you have 6 fights, you could be 3-3.
If you have a guy that's only 3-3, well then you're gonna refinance your house for him?
No, I'm talking about if he's fighting another.
He's saying
If he's fighting those tough fights that we're talking about, and a guy and he loses, he wins one and he loses one because they're all difficult fights. How many losses am I going to go to before I'm no longer needed?
couldn't there be an opportunity then? And that's where I see a con. Couldn't there be an opportunity for a guy to get chewed up and spit out if he comes in, he's not quite developed, he gets his ass kicked and he goes 3-3, like Abel's saying. He's a good-looking prospect. Now he's 3-3. Is that the end of the line for him? Could he have had a better outcome if he would have been, given a couple? I don't want to say soft touches, but more developmental touches coming up. And I think that's the part I'm a little bit. I actually love the idea of competitive fights. I agree. I think it's great for boxing. And I think we've talked about that a lot here. But could a guy be rushed along too quickly and be thrown to the wolves and never quite develop the way he was supposed to? And if so, is that sort of like the end of the line? He's 3-3, and now it's boxing's done for him.
Well, again, I'll use myself as an example. I sacrificed my guy who only had five amateur. I mean, he only had like 22 amateur fights, and um, and he only had like five professional fights. And I put him in for the world title. But again, he beat the number one in the nation, and I think that meant a whole lot, and that said a whole lot. And I wasn't wrong. Look at him now. He has five. Who would have ever? I mean, I would have never have thought that he would have five world title defenses. He just won by a knockout last week, and I was like, whoa. I'm like, he's an overachiever.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
yes,
as I think it all through.
we
Go
are,
on,
but
Eddie.
Rudy, we are. There's very few, or there are limited coaches that have that kind of record and success with the fighters that they have. There's a lot of trainers out there that could stumble onto princesas and never get what you got out of them because they weren't in a position to be able to guide them.
I would say it like this as a fan, because remember, we were saying from a fan's perspective. Now, it's going to be different for a trainer, a fighter, and other promoters. They're all going to be affected differently. But as a fan, as long as they're smart about developing the fighters accordingly, and I'd have to imagine once Dana White signs them to a contract, they become something of an asset to him. I can't imagine you would waste an asset just for the sake of wasting it. I'd imagine he'd try to give every fighter the best shot to develop into something that can be productive for the brand, right? Um, I don't. I think overall, as a fan, though, if I have to be totally honest, I like having competitive fights. If I could watch a whole card of competitive fights, I'd be the happiest fan on earth. I mean, now is there a risk of not developing guys? That's a little bit of a concern for me. But if I had to lean one way or the other, I think I'd lean a little bit more towards just having good fights. If I could have four good fights on a card, I'd be in heaven as a fan.
Yeah, Jess, but to lose to lose a fight when you're 15-0 or 15-1 or 20-1 or that's one thing. To lose two or three fights when you only have three or four fights, totally different situation.
That is true,
Your
but
worth.
I'd have to imagine if he's going to sign, if they're going to sign, but if they're going to sign guys who are pro debuting, wouldn't it be like Olympians? I don't think it would be anyone but an Olympian or a guy with like 7 national championships. So those guys should be at a certain level at that point, right?
So let's say La Princesa, who beat the national champion, all of a sudden signs with Zufa and gets put in with another or an Olympic gold medalist in his first, second, or third fight. Eesh, why?
Point. I mean, I'd have to imagine too. It's probably gonna. We were all saying like, oh, they'll only have fighters who are signed to Zuffa. I don't think so. I think certain guys at a certain point they're gonna bring fighters from the outside who might do like a one fight contract, the same way all promoters do. And you bring the guy in for one fight to develop your fighter and kind of do it that way. But I don't know though. I mean, I
Okay,
guess Rudy, you know better than me.
when you asked that question at the beginning, you asked about what would help. Rudy made very good points about competitive fights. I also agree with that, but I would like for them to be mixed, for them to be trying to work together somehow. They gotta find a way, I think, to work together uh, um, to be able to get the most competitive fights. I don't know if that's possible, but that's a maybe in my dream world.
When you say they, do you mean like other big promoters?
Yeah, all the promoters.
Well, I just think that what Zupa brings to the table is fights, competitive fights, and little by little he'll win the public over. And also fighters will understand as well that you you don't just have to be undefeated. I mean, you can, there's going to be a window of opportunities for a lot of people. And when I say a lot of people, it's like a lot of fighters are going to be fighting, and it's going to be up to them to win for them to be able to win their place in in that in the company. And if you fight, you fight. You're going to get you'll get fights. You'll get rewarded, and you'll be put on the schedule. And give your best. Give them a reason to promote you.
Yeah. Question: Would Nakatani and La Princesa be on the Zuffa roster? Could they be on the Zuffa roster?
Of course, if they can get paid, I'll put them in there because these are guys that are world champions, and when you're a world champion, man, if you can't fight or beat contenders, then you're not worthy of being that world champion.
Of course, of course, of course. Now, on a different
And
subject,
my
what do you guys think?
understanding is that Zupa pays really good money.
On a different, kind of a different subject, what do you think about IBF stripping Opatea in that situation?
And I don't. Um, it sucks. It really sucks because you got fighters who work their whole lives to become champion of the world, and then all of a sudden, because on the promotional side, you have a promoter and another promoter not happy with the organization, and then like the fighter gets blamed, and that sucks because at the end of the day, and there should be like a window of opportunity. If there's a window of opportunity to gain, well then get it. But I understand that well, isn't it that they don't want to pay a sanctioning fees and this or that?
No, from what I understand,
And
they returned the sanctioning fees back to Opatea, and because it wasn't for the IBF title per se, that's why he got stripped. That's what I read today.
I think they're foolish. I think they're very foolish for doing that because if Dana White's supposed to be the guy that's taking over boxing and he's going to destroy all the competition, you're loading the bullets to your executioner's gun by doing that. If you let them fight for that belt and that belt's involved in Zuffa and it's part of their stratosphere, then you can exist alongside them. But if you think you're going to strip a guy of a belt to punish them, I just think that's foolish. I think it was a very foolish thing, and I didn't think it was good for them at all. Why? What do they gain from doing that? And also, he fought a legitimate opponent, and he had the belt. He should have been allowed to defend it. Like, why are they punishing him for that? I don't understand that part.
But he wasn't someone that was rated in the IBF. First of all, they rated him at the end. But from what I understand, is that they didn't give it the importance. I guess that he's fighting for the IBF belt. Maybe the IBF felt. But remember, if the IBF strips him, now they can fight another number one and number two contender for the belt. I mean, they have a champion again. So as Opatea really wasn't the important one, it was the fact that it was the IBF belt to them, I'm sure.
Gotcha. That's
Stick,
you enlightened me on that. I didn't realize that it wasn't he wasn't ranked as a top 10 by the IBF.
and also, I read also too that he was supposed to get stripped of the ring belt because he wasn't in the top five either.
Isn't the ring in like that with them though? I mean, they're in lockstep. I don't think they would ever strip
Just what I
them,
read.
right?
Just what I read in a boxing scene today.
Interesting.
But still, it's not fair to Opatea, as Rudy said, that these guys struggle and sacrifice to get a belt and then to get stripped. But then it's not fair either to not work together, I guess, is my point. If they can work together and the fighters benefit, then I think it's a great thing.
I totally agree. I would totally agree with that. I also think we gave one pro, I'll give a second one. I think we might not all agree on this one, but I will say that there's probably going to be a lot of pressure for the sanctioning bodies, if nothing else, to really tighten up their ships, to really run a tight ship and do things as clean as possible, because there is a risk. Now they actually have competition. There's actually someone trying to compete with them versus all of them coexisting in the landscape, and my hope is that it's going to make a very clear picture of who a champion is versus whatever's going on. Because they've done some strange things with their politics over the years, all four of them.
I'll be a devil's advocate here for one question. What belts is Nakatani going to win once he beats Inui?
I think he's winning all the titles
Okay,
because
so this
Inoue is the
is
undisputed champion.
okay. So this is my devil's advocate question. If he was to, after this fight, he beats Inui, then he signs with Zuffa, then Zuffa fights him with somebody else, but they don't recognize any of the other belts. How are we going to feel about that?
Well, at the end of the day, is it worth it?
And listen,
Personally, and personally,
he beat he beat Inui. He beat Inui for
yes,
the claim to be the
undisputed,
best.
and the ring belt, and he also would win the ring belt championship. So he would have
Yeah.
all 5 world titles if he beats
Well,
Inoue. He's going to have all the 5 titles. Now,
okay, so
personally, I would suggest that you keep that one belt. You decide which one you want, and then let the others go. That
well,
would
which
be
one
my
would he
advice
keep?
to him.
Which one would he keep?
That I don't know. That would be a choice that
Okay,
he would have to make.
okay, but it would be one of the 4, not one of the 6. So then, if Zuffa doesn't recognize that one of the 4, what happens to that? He gives it up
No, I mean, like I said, it would be up to him. What I would tell
because he.
him, okay, these are the belts. You decide which one you want to keep, and the other ones relinquish them.
But if
Because
he
I don't
still
Yeah,
want
but
the
he
beat,
can never defend
responsibility
it.
to be
But he
paying
can,
all these sanctioning fees.
no, that's not what I mean. But he can never defend any that belt that he decides to keep. He can never defend it
if he
Why
goes to
wouldn't he be
Zuffa.
able?
if he signs with Zuffa.
Yeah, but that would well, if he's signing with Zupa, I mean, what do you think they'd have to pay him to sign with Zupa?
Oh no! I know
If
I
they
know
pay
it
him,
would be a lot of money, of course. But I'm just saying, though,
well, if they pay
he
him,
just became the king of that division, and now I'm going to give it all up. How is the fighter going to feel about that? That's why I say I want them to work
Abel,
together.
but see, Abel, you know for a fact that the belts matter, but you make a name for yourself. You get here, and then it comes to this. Now, if he
Yeah, of
wins, he
course.
beats Inoue. Zupa Zupa reaches out and says, "Man, we got this, and this is your minimum, and it's a few $1,000,000." I mean, like, it's a no-brainer.
Of
But
course.
as a fan, let's take it back to that dynamic though. As a boxing fan though, is that best for a fan? Is it best for a fan? It's great that he could make a lot of money with Zuffa. Is it going to make sense versus him having all 4 belts and being required to fight, whoever he's posed with?
And
By the sanctioning bodies?
You think Zupa is going to pay him to fight just anybody, or they're going to put him in fights? Fights that you as a fan are going to want to watch, Jesse, because I mean, yeah, they are promoting and they are putting up fights, and they're not going to put him in soft because they're going to compensate him. And since they're going to compensate him, they're going to pay him well. And we're okay with that because you can't be the champion of the world and look for, soft,
Of course,
contenders.
of course. Yeah, especially if he's king of the world at that
Totally
moment.
agree.
Yes.
Bad. So, you guys are in California. You have more local shows. If you live in California, you can go to more boxing matches because there are way more promoters and way more shows. There's more fighters, right? I live in Chicago. If I want to see a fight, I can go over the border to Indiana, or I can watch Bobby Hitz put on a show. Which, by the way, Bobby Hitz, great job. Shout out Bobby. But what will that do to the small promoters for a guy like me who wants to, go to a show on a Friday with my family? Or do you think they get eaten up? Do they thrive in this atmosphere? Like, what is that? Because as a fan, I love that part of boxing too. What happens to the small promoters? What do we think could happen?
What's been happening to them now?
4 shows a year, maybe 5.
That's not going to change. They're going to continue to do their 4 and 5s.
So we think that the regional promoters can. Oh, I'm sorry, Abel.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, we feel like the small regional promoters, they're still gonna have their play. I mean, they would have to, right? Where would fighters come from? Where would
Yes.
pro fighters come from to go to Zupa or anywhere, like even a top rank or a match room? Like they have to start somewhere, unless they're like a solid amateur, right?
Ooh, that's a
Yes.
great point right there, Jess. Now that the 3 or 4 major promoters have signed deals, TV deals, does that give them more power, more um control, maybe of what they're doing?
That's a great question. I mean, DAZN's becoming a place too. Like they have to be competitive on their own too, and they right now they're starting to sort of conglomerate promoters. They're getting something together over there.
Yes, competition.
Well, the more the promoters, the better.
I think
I
if they all work
agree.
together on the other side, yeah.
Yes. By the by the way, Rudy, I'm gonna be at the Thunder Studios on Friday. Are you gonna be around so I can get with you
When?
on Friday, the 27th? I got a kid fighting on that
This
show at the
Friday?
Thunder Studios. Yep.
No, I'm no. I fly out to Seattle. There's a UFC event this weekend in Seattle.
When do you fly out? When do you fly out?
I'm sorry I didn't hear you. You've
When do
been
you
cut
fly
off.
out?
I fly out Friday morning.
Uh, okay.
Call
Maybe
me.
I'll
I'll
see
make
you
it
on the week.
happen. Whatever it
Okay.
is that you need.
Okay, I'll call you. I'll call you. But anyway, you're right, Jesse. I
Awesome.
think that the promoters need to work together. That's what I said at the beginning. If we can get them to find a way, I know this like the U.S. government right now; they don't seem to get along. I think the promoters need to be getting along so that this sport will prosper even more.
And I'll say one more thing, and popular or not, I don't know, or who it's popular with. I hope that Sufa does just about everything they're saying they're going to do. I still also hope there's at least one other promoter to provide resistance. Because if there's not one other major promoter that can be competitive with them, you run the risk of a product becoming stale. If there's no competition at all, you can kind of do it however you want versus feeling the pressure of another promoter. So I do always want to see some competition. I don't think I'd ever want to see any promoter at all monopolize boxing because I'd be concerned of where it would go from there if it did become monopolized.
Well, I think what I said about DAZN signing all these promoters or getting TV deals, I think that may help.
Yeah. I mean, it would. I'll say too like this: how good would Don King have been if he didn't have Bob Arum? He didn't have that other guy to always compete with. So that's why I really do hope they do great, and I believe all those things that they're doing are going to work out well. But I always do want to see some competition. You see it in other places, and products become so stale once there's no competition. So you always want to see something there.
Okay, now, so on that vein, when is the next show, Rudy? When is the next Zuffa show? Who's fighting? Yeah, when's the next show?
I think I'm not sure. I think the next show is on the April the 5th. I think it's April the 5th. It's a Sunday,
Sunday, yeah. Yeah,
4th or 5th,
I
yeah.
have a
So
kid. Yeah, I have a kid fighting on the 11th on the Fury card, so I know it's 6 days before, so it is a Sunday.
Awesome. Well, I'll tell you all what. Real quick before we get out of here, if you guys want to shout out everything you've got going on, I know Abel, you said it a little bit, but what are you looking forward to over the next 2 to 3 weeks?
On this Friday the 27th, I got Ronnie Mancia, Jose Mancia fighting at the Thunder Studios in Long Beach. He's fighting a 4 round. His last 4 rounder. He's 4-0 right now. Hopefully, we'll be 5-0 on Saturday. On the 11th of April, I have Sultan Al Mohammed fighting on the Tyson Fury card. He's fighting another 4 round. It'll be his third fight. Then hopefully we're still praying that we get a fight on the Usyk card, which would be for Muhammad Alakel. That's believe the 23rd of May.
Awesome. Rudy?
we're getting ready for the biggest fight of our careers. So looking forward to meeting up with the monster, and hopefully we have enough to tame him.
All signs point to that fight. That's a clear path ahead for you right now, right? I mean, you don't have any other fights lined up in the interim up until then?
Yeah, La Princesa just defended his title a week ago in Japan, and so one down, one to go.
Did he get the ring?
He's going to get the ring now because now he has 5 title defenses, and I mean he was so looking forward to it, and I believe he's going to be going to the W with. I think he may be going to Puerto Rico, and he's going to get awarded his ring for having 5 world title defenses.
That's so
By the way,
crazy.
what do
And how
you
many
get?
fights? He's at what, 13?
Abel, I'm glad you said that because maybe the WBO should do something like the WBC does, and this is what the
Correct.
WBC has giving the trainers of the world champion, and so
Right.
I'm hoping that the WBO will do something like it and reward
Rudy,
the coach for a little something.
how come you've never done the show in that room? You have an incredible amount of memorabilia in there.
Oh, well,
What?
I don't know.
How do you-
I think I call it. Okay, hey, look at check this out, Abel.
Oh, wow.
That's that's my Schlitz, the Forum Boxing title.
147-pound title.
Once upon a time, and there, look at that.
Wow.
That was when my brother beat Asuma Nelson, and then I have oh, here's one for you. Look, that that's when I won the tournament against Hedge Ventuga and Robertson, and this was like the game changer of my boxing career. Hatakeyama winning that world title that night changed everything for me. I went on instead. I was looking to go into, probably trying to go into the police academy with the LAPD, and instead he won that night, and so I never looked back. I stayed in boxing because of it.
Wow. So
And
you can actually.
this is the state title. You know when I won that, Abel?
California state title?
Yeah,
I don't.
I
When you beat Lupe?
I beat Lupe
Yeah.
Aquino that night, and I became the
Wow.
state champion.
Wow. Wow. That's a little while back, man.
Yeah,
you were a baby then.
kind of. but but here's the thing, though. I believe that I won that night, but in the long run, well, no. See, Lupe Aquino went on to be a world champion. I just barely, I barely got noticed a little bit, but he went on to be a world champion. But unfortunately, it really fucking sucks that you know, he went on to live a different life,
Yeah.
I've always felt really bad for him. I don't know. He seemed like a really nice guy, because I would see him at the gym and we would spar. We had way better sparring sessions than we did the fights, and people would stop to look at us. Even contenders that were training at the gym would watch us spar at the Olympic gym back in the day. We did way better in the sparring session than we did the day of the fight.
Hmm.
But we both struggled to make weight, and also he had like I think like if I recall, he had like an injured hand. His right hand was kind of
Yeah.
sore. But
He
but
had
hey,
heard it
we all
against
have
him.
excuses.
He had heard it against Tim Harris. He had fought Tim Harris in the fight before you.
Yeah, and it was only a month. We only had a month to get ready, both of us, and so, and but but this is one of the highlights of my boxing career. I went on the shadow box with Muhammad Ali for 20
Oh,
minutes,
wow.
man. That was a great look.
That's
Oh,
awesome, Rudy.
by the
That is
way,
so cool.
yeah, by the way, Rudy, before I let you go, and just before I let you go, you know that last Wednesday was, and Thursday actually was the burial for Ruben Castillo. You know, he died.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, man. I was like, "Fuck, man, cancer, right?"
Yeah. Yep. Something pancreatic, I
Yeah, I
think.
was. Uh, I always thought really highly of him, but I thought he was a great fighter. But he came in an era where, damn, the world champions were like really
It
good world
was-
champions too,
yeah.
man. He
He
fought the
fought.
best of the best.
He fought
Alexis
4 times
Arguello
world champion.
first, yes, against Alexis Arguello, against Salvador Sanchez, Juan Laporte, and who
That
did he
other
fight?
Mexican. That other Mexican, Julio.
Julio Cesar Chavez. Julio Cesar Chavez, right?
Yes. Yes. He used to tell
Yeah,
me
man.
that's why he
Poor.
still hears. That's why he used to tell me that he always hears the phone ring because of him.
Jeez.
Yeah, man. Man, he could have been a world champion in probably in any other era, but man, he just got he just had to fight the very best of the best at that time.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And
Yep. But anyway, 65 years old.
I
No,
just hope
68
that
years old. I'm sorry.
68. Abel, is the world a better place because you existed?
I sure hope so.
Damn right it is.
Yeah,
It
I sure
is.
hope so.
It really is. How many fighters who never became contenders or world champions walked through your gym and you made a
Yeah.
difference in their lives?
Yeah. No, I'm proud of what we've accomplished, but I think my children are more proud of that than me.
No, you're right. I say the same thing. That all these awards that we get or talked about, is I think it means it's more meaningful to them or for them because we sacrifice their
Them.
family for work.
Absolutely, yes.
They want to see
Yeah.
the merit, the reward of that work, and it was their sacrifice too.
Yeah, no, it was their
Of course, yeah.
sacrifice, not ours. We were having fun.
Well, yeah. Can you believe that we worked? It's called work, but it was just it was such a great. I mean, me personally, man, what a great life. And this is what I've said, and I'll say it again. Junto beats Inoue, and I die 2 or 3 days later. I'm good to go. Life don't know me anything. It's just great. I can die. I'm good.
Don't do that.
Overachiever.
Don't you do that. Can you imagine what you do to Junto if you did that?
I told Junto already. He looks at me. He goes, "Oh," and I go, "Nah,
Yeah.
Junto, it's because you don't understand. When we were born and raised in the ghetto, man, and how we grew up and how we did, and where we've been and what we've done in life." I go, how many guys can say they've been to Japan over 160 times? I've been to Russia 6 times, and I've been countries that I really wanted to go to, and I've been there. There isn't nothing that life would owe me. The last one was you know, well, one of them again was to take from a kid from day one to a world title. La Princesa Olascuaga, done. And then also, I wanted to get a kid from the amateurs to $1 million purse. It's accomplished. It got accomplished with Junto fought in Saudi Arabia. And so, I mean, like, there's nothing left for me. I'm good. I just want to I just want to continue to go to the gym and hopefully keep making a difference in somebody's life at the gym. And not because they're going to be boxers or contenders, but the fact that you can help them move on to a better tomorrow. And that's key. Like Ben
You
Lira.
know,
I love Ben Lira. Ben Lira is my hero.
yeah, just when things, for me anyway, when things get dim, because you don't have great days every day, but when they get dim, just think back 25 years ago and
Yeah.
things all of a sudden get much, much, much better.
Yes.
I appreciate you guys a ton. You guys, thank you for always doing this with me. And it's now midnight, so this is definitely my going to sleep time. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll see you again soon.
Jesse,
Rudy, I'll
Jesse,
give you a
thank you for
call.
having us. Abel, thank you for your time. I really appreciate you and looking forward to breakfast pretty soon because Ben was supposed to call you and then you're supposed to say when and where.
Okay, well, we'll do it soon, but I'm going to call you tomorrow.
Yes, sir. I'll
Thank
be
you
Okay,
ready.
guys.
Good
I'll
night.
see you. Bye. Good night.